Hi everyone, welcome back to the Behind the Scenes series. Today, I'll be walking you through this time-lapse build of the People Insights dashboard. If you'd like to see how the finished dashboard works, there's a link above where you can explore the full functionality in detail. All the resources you'll need are available for download in the description, so you can follow along and try it out on your own. Let's dive straight in. We'll start with a blank Power BI file. The first step is to bring in the data from Excel. Once the Excel file is selected, choose the worksheets. Data from 2023 to 2026, as well as department, gender, grade, and type. Make sure all of them are ticked, then click Load to bring everything into Power BI. With the data now loaded, switch over to the model view to verify that all the relationships are set up correctly. Power BI usually detects these automatically based on matching fields, but it's always a good practice to double-check before moving on. Now, instead of creating a new calendar table, we'll reuse an existing one. Click on the Transform Data button to enter the query view. Proceed to copy the dim date table from the template file and paste it into this model. Once that's done, click Close and apply to load everything into the model. With the data model in place, switch to the table view to set up the correct sort order for key fields. Start with the department table by selecting the business unit field, then go to Sort by Column and choose BU order. After that, move on to the gender table. Select the gender field and update its sort order using gender order. Finally, head to the type table. Select the type field and set its sort order using the type order column. After sorting the table fields, head over to the report view and begin laying out the dashboard. Open the Canvas background settings and select your background image file. Once completed, we can now add the dashboard title. Insert a new text box. Then increase the font size to 32. And type in People Insights. Once the text is in place, use the Format pane to carefully adjust the size and place the title neatly in the top left corner of the page. Remove the background too, so the text blends naturally into the design. And the dashboard title is now complete. Next, we'll create a simple table to drive the year selection. Click on Enter Data, name the column year, and enter 2024, 2025, and 2026 as the available options. Rename the table to Select, then click Load to create the table. To turn this into an interactive year selector, insert a button slicer and add the field year to the values well. After adding the field, resize the slicer and position it at the top right of the dashboard so it visually balances the title. Turn off the background and disable the visual title so it fits cleanly into the layout. In the slicer settings, enable force selection so that one year is always selected. Then, under callout values, set the text alignment to center for a more balanced look, and soften the font color to a lighter shade of black. At this point, choose the selected state and update the value font color to yellow so users can clearly see which year is active. Now, move into the button formatting options. Switch the padding from default to custom and set the top and bottom padding to 0 to make the buttons more compact. Also change the background color to a light brown to match the dashboard's color theme and turn off the border for a cleaner appearance. Then switch to the selected state and update the background color to a lighter black so it feels more cohesive with the rest of the design. With that, the year selector is all set. Now that the title and year selector are in place, we're ready to move on to the next stage of the build. Here, we'll create a dedicated table to hold all our DAX measures. Name the table Measure Table and click Load. Once the table is created, expand the data pane, right-click on Measure Table, and select New Measure to add the first measure. Apply the DAX formula provided in the BI template for the ID count. After adding the measure, delete the default column 1 since we won't be needing it. This keeps the measure table clean and tidy. Next, we'll create the remaining measures required for this dashboard. To keep the video moving, I'll fast forward through this section. But don't worry, all the DAX formulas are included in the downloadable BI template. And if you'd like to see how to group your DAX measures into folders for easier navigation, feel free to check out the link above. I've included a quick walkthrough there. Once the measures are ready, we can begin building the dashboard visuals. Let's start with the first visual. Insert a new card visual and assign the field ID selected year to it. After that, rename the field to Headcount for clarity. Proceed to close the build pane, then adjust the card size and position it just below the dashboard title so it sits neatly within the layout. For the card padding, set the top, bottom, left, and right padding to 0 so everything aligns tightly. Turn off the background too. Under multi-card layout, reduce the padding to 0. And remove the background once again. Then, continue into the card settings and set the padding to 0. While we're here, also turn off the border, divider, and background so the card integrates seamlessly with the rest of the design. From here, we'll work on the callout setting. Refine the label by repositioning it from bottom to top. And increase the label font size to 25. Then, for the values, increase the font size to 32 to make the number more prominent. Finally, select the Headcount series. And set the display units to none, so the number is displayed in full for clearer readability. With that done, duplicate it to create a second card for the year-on-year variance. Replace the data field with ID variance % so it reflects the variance metric. After updating the field, we'll resize the new card and position it at the lower left corner of the Headcount card. For the multi-card layout setting, turn on the border and change its color to brown so it aligns with the styling of the first panel. Then, under Shape, increase the rounded corners to 10 to soften the edges. Continue to the card settings. Turn on the background and set its color to light brown to keep it consistent with the dashboard's color theme. Following that, move to the callout section. Turn off the label. Then format the value by reducing the font size to 12, changing the font color to a lighter black, and center aligning the text for a clean, balanced appearance. Now that the data cards are ready, let's draw the bubble chart. Start by inserting a scatter chart. Add the field X to the X-axis. And change its summarization to Don't Summarize. After that, add the field Y for the Y-axis and repeat the process, ensuring it is set to Don't Summarize as well. Next, enhance the visual breakdown by adding Type ID to the legend and ID selected year to the size field. With all the necessary fields in place, resize the chart and position it neatly beside the data cards so the layout feels balanced. Turn off the background as well. Next, refine the formatting by disabling the chart title to keep the design clean. Then move to the X-axis settings. Set the minimum to -2 and the maximum to 10, and turn off both values and title for a minimalist look. Apply the same adjustments to the Y-axis by setting the minimum to -1 and the maximum to 6. And again switching off values and title. Once the axes are streamlined, remove the legend as well. From there, head to the markers section and increase the size multiplier to 96 to make the bubbles more visually impactful. Continue by refining the bubble colors to align with the dashboard's palette. Begin with T1, expand the color setting, and setting it to yellow. Then move on to T2 and change its color to pink. Finally, select T3 series and set it to black for a strong visual contrast. With the bubble chart fully formatted, we can now build a custom legend that also functions as an interactive filter. Start by inserting a button slicer Then add type to the value field. Once added, resize the slicer and position it to the left of the bubble chart so it aligns neatly within the panel. Next, tidy up the visual by disabling the background. Once that's done, remove the title so the slicer integrates seamlessly into the layout. Then head to the multi-card layout settings and set the column count to 1, allowing the buttons to display vertically for a clearer structure. From there, move into the callout section and change the value color to gray so it remains subtle and doesn't compete with the chart. Continue to the button settings. Scroll down to the padding section and adjust the settings so it uses custom instead of the default option. Then increase the left padding to 20 and remove the top and bottom padding to create a more compact layout. While you're here, turn off both the background and border to maintain a clean appearance. Now, enable the accent bar to visually link the buttons with their corresponding bubble colors. Click FX to apply conditional formatting. Set the format style to field value and base it on type color so each button reflects its assigned color dynamically. Finally, increase the accent bar width to 8 to make the color indicator more prominent and easier to see. And with that, the first panel is fully set up. Let's move on to building the next panel. Start by inserting a new text box to serve as the header. Once the text box is added, set the font size to 14 and enter the title gender composition. After typing in the header, adjust the text box size and position it neatly at the top of the panel so it anchors the section clearly. Turn off the background too so it visually merges with the panel. Then center align the text to achieve a balanced look. With the header now in place, we can proceed to adding the icons. Go to the Insert ribbon and select Image. Once the image placeholder appears, carefully resize it and position it along the left side of the panel. To insert the mail icon, expand the style options. Under Image, click Browse and select your image file. After placing the first figure, there's no need to repeat the entire process. Simply duplicate the image to save time. Move the duplicated copy across to the opposite side of the panel and adjust its placement so it mirrors the first icon. After that, remove the existing male image and update it by browsing for and replacing it with the female figure. Now that both icons are positioned, the next step is to display the gender mix percentages between the two icons. Insert a new card. Then add the field ID male % and ID female % to the values well. Once that's done, we will resize the card appropriately and position it neatly between the two icons so it visually tie them together. Turn off the background for a cleaner look. Then move into the multi-card layout settings. Adjust the padding to 0 and remove the background there as well. Continue to the card settings, where we'll again set the padding to 0 and turn off the border, divider and background so the card feels lightweight and fully integrated into the panel. Next, refine the callout section by removing the label and reducing the value font size to 18 so the percentages don't appear too overwhelming. At this point, select the ID female % series and change its alignment to the right so it sits closer to the female icon and feels visually connected. Next, we'll add the percentage mix bar to give a quick visual breakdown. Insert a 100% stacked bar chart. Then add ID selected year to the x-axis and gender to the legend. For better clarity, rename ID selected year to headcount so the field is easier to interpret. After setting up the fields, resize the visual and position the bar so it fits neatly between the two figures. Then, turn off the background and refine the visual further by disabling the title as it isn't needed in this context. For the y-axis, we will switch off the values to keep the visual uncluttered. From there, move into the bars section to update the colors to match the dashboard's color scheme. Select the male series and set the bar color to black. Proceed to the next female series and adjust its color to light brown. And the percentage mix bar is done. Next, we'll work on the metrics below. Insert a new text box. Once it appears, set the font size to 14. Change the font color to a lighter black. And center align the text before typing average tenure. After entering the title, adjust the text box size and position it neatly beneath the percentage mix bar so the layout remains structured and easy to follow. Then turn off the background. To maintain consistent formatting, duplicate the text box instead of creating a new one. Update the duplicated text to average age. Then, reposition the text box to place it directly beneath the first text box. Now, we'll add the supporting cards for each gender. Insert a new card. Then add the field tenure average male. And rename the field to years so the unit is clearly indicated. Moving on, adjust the size of the card so it fits proportionately, and position it directly beneath the male icon. Turn off the background too. Then move into the multi-card layout settings. Set the padding to 0. And disable the background there as well. Continue to the card settings, where we'll again set the padding to 0. And then turn off the border, divider, and background to ensure the card remains compact and minimal. Next, refine the callout section. Reduce the value font size to 18. Change the font color to gray so it remains subtle. And center align the value for balance. For the label, we'll format it by reducing the font size to 10. Switching the font color to light gray. And setting the horizontal gap to 0 to tighten the spacing. After completing the first card, there's no need to recreate the remaining ones from scratch. Instead, duplicate the existing card to speed up the process. For the second card, replace the field with tenure average female. And once updated, rename the field to years so the unit remains clearly displayed. Then position it beneath the female icon so it mirrors the placement of the male tenure card. We'll now work on the next metric, average age. Duplicate one of the tenure cards again. This time, update the field to age average male. And to maintain consistency, rename it to years for the unit. After that, move the card into place beneath the male figure on the right. Finally, duplicate the card once more to complete the set. Replace the field with age average female. And again rename it to years so all metrics follow the same format. Position it carefully beneath the female figure, ensuring that all the 4 cards line up cleanly. Now that all the elements of this panel are in place, we can proceed to the next panel. We'll start by inserting a line and clustered column chart. Once the visual appears, add the field business unit to the x-axis. Place ID prior year in the column y-axis. And add ID selected year to the line y-axis. To provide additional context on hover, add both ID selected year and ID variance to the Tooltips field so users can view more detailed information when interacting with the chart. Then take a moment to rename them for clarity. Simplify ID prior year to prior year. Change the field name ID selected year to selected year. And rename ID variance to variance. This ensures the labels are clean and easy to understand. Following that, reposition the chart into its designated panel. And resize it so it fits neatly within the layout. Then turn off the background. And move to format the chart title. Update the title to Department Movements. And align the text position to center so it aligns with the overall design style. Next, we'll refine the axes. For the x-axis, turn off the title since the category labels already provide sufficient context. For the primary y-axis, remove both the values. and the title so the focus remains on the data labels. Then move to the secondary y-axis and enable Align Zeros to ensure both measures are properly aligned. Once the zeros are aligned, the values will automatically appear on the chart. To fully hide them, briefly turn the values on and then switch them off again. Since the chart is already clear through color and labeling, disable the legend. Now, we'll work on the columns. Change their color to light brown to match the dashboard's palette. Under Layout, increase the space between categories to 40% so the visual feels more open and less crowded. From here, move on to the chart line and reduce the line width to 0 to remove it. To display the headcount movement, enable the data labels and refine them. Select the prior year series and turn off Show for this series so its labels remain hidden. Then switch to the selected year series and change the label position to above. Once that's done, close the Label Options panel and under the Value setting, replace the field with ID variance to display the year-on-year movement. After that, continue to the Error Bars setting. Under the selected year series, enable the error bars. For the upper bound, add the ID selected year field for the headcount of the selected year. And for the lower bound, use the base field. Next, we'll proceed to format the newly added bars. Change the bar color to brown. Increase the width to 6 to make the bar more pronounced, and reduce the border size to 0 to remove the outline. Also turn off the markers to maintain a clean appearance. With this panel now fully configured, we're ready to move on to the next one. Start by inserting a clustered bar chart. Then we'll add the field grade ID to the y-axis and place both ID selected year and ID selected year negative into the x-axis field. After adding the fields, reposition the chart within its designated panel and resize it so it fills the available space proportionately. Turn off the background too. Next, format the chart title by updating the title to Staff Pyramid. And change the title alignment to center so it mirrors the other visual titles. Move to the y-axis and reduce the font size to 8 for better space management. Then remove the axis title to avoid unnecessary clutter. For the x-axis, remove both the values and the title to maintain a streamlined and minimalist look. Disable the legend as well. Now head to the bars settings. Under the Layout section, modify the bars by enabling the overlap function and increasing the space between series to 100%. Also reduce the space between categories to 8% to create a tighter pyramid shape. To tie in with the existing color scheme, select the ID selected year series and change its bar color to light brown. Then switch to the ID selected year negative series and apply the same light brown shade so both sides maintain a consistent appearance. Next, enable the data labels. For the ID selected year negative series, turn off Show to hide those labels. Then select the ID selected year series and adjust the label position to outside end. Also change the font color to a lighter gray so the labels remain visible yet subtle. Finally, return to the chart visual and click on the More Options menu at the top right corner. From there, ensure that Grade ID is selected as the sorting field. Then set the order to ascending so the pyramid structure appears in the intended sequence. With the staff pyramid complete, let's move on to building the next section. This time, insert a line chart to visualize the workforce trend over time. Begin by adding month field to the x-axis. Then place both ID selected year and ID prior year into the y-axis to create a year-on-year comparison. To enhance the interactivity, add ID variants to the tooltips. Once all the fields are in place, rename ID selected year to selected year, followed by ID prior year to prior year, and ID variance to variance. Clear naming ensures the visual remains intuitive and easy to interpret. Next, resize the chart and position it neatly within its panel, aligning it carefully with the rest of the layout. Turn off the background too. Now we'll take a moment to configure the chart title. Update it to monthly workforce trend and change its alignment to center so it matches the formatting applied to the other visuals. Moving on to the x-axis, switch off the title to reduce redundancy. For the y-axis, disable both the values and the title, allowing the trend lines to be the primary focus of the visual. Refine the legend next. Change its position to top center so it sits neatly above the chart. Then reduce the font size to 8. And turn off the legend title to keep the presentation subtle and unobtrusive. After that, we'll format the lines. Change the interpolation type from linear to smooth so the trends appear more fluid. To customize the line styling, choose the selected year series and change its color to pink so it stands out clearly. Then select the prior year series. Switch the line style from solid to dashed so it is visually distinct, and update its color to brown so it can be easily distinguished from the selected year line. The trend chart is now set. Let's continue to the final panel. Insert a line and stacked column chart. Add business unit to the x-axis. Next, populate the column y-axis by adding salary %25 selected year, salary IQR 25 to 50, and salary IQR 50 to 75. Then move on to the line y-axis and start with salary minimum selected year. Then add salary median selected year. After that, include salary average selected year. And finally complete the setup by adding salary maximum selected year. Once all the fields are in place, we'll rename them. For salary %25 selected year, replace the field name with a single space, so it acts as a spacing element within the stacked columns. Next, rename salary IQR 25 to 50 to Q2, and salary IQR 50 to 75 to Q3. Continue to tidy up the line series. Replace salary minimum selected year with minimum. Then move down to salary median selected year and update it to median. After that, select salary average selected year and rename it to average. And finish by changing salary maximum selected year to maximum. After renaming the fields, close the build pane and adjust the height of the visual. Also turn off the background. Next, we will format the title. Select the chart title and update it to salary distribution. From here, proceed to change the font color to brown so it aligns with the dashboard's color theme, and set the title alignment to center. Now, for the x-axis settings, change the font color to gray to align with all the other visuals, and turn off the title. Then for the y-axis, set the minimum value to 0. For the maximum value, click on FX to enable a dynamic setting. Then replace the original business unit field with the y-axis max field. At the same time, turn off both the values and the title to keep the chart visually clean. Repeat a similar setup for the secondary y-axis. Set the minimum to 0. Once again click FX for the maximum setting. And change the field value to the same y-axis max field. Once this is done, proceed to hide the values by turning the values on and then switching them off again. Next, format the legend. Change its position to top center. Then expand the text options. Reduce the font size to 8. And update the font color to a dark gray to keep it understated yet readable. Turn off the legend title entirely too. Now we'll move on to formatting the stacked columns. Under the layout options, increase the space between categories to 40%, giving the chart a bit more breathing room. Then select the blank series, and change its color to match the background so that block is hidden. After that, select the Q to series, and change its color to yellow. And for Q3, update the color to dark yellow, creating a clear visual distinction between the quartiles. Next, we'll adjust the lines. Set the line width to 0 so the connecting lines become invisible. Even though the lines themselves are hidden, we still need to update their colors so the legend displays correctly. Start by selecting the minimum series and change its color to light gray. Then move on to the median series and update its color to pink for clear distinction. For the average series, apply the same gray color. And finally, format the max series with the same gray tone to maintain consistency across the visual. With that done, we'll now proceed to format the markers. Under All Series, turn on Show, so markers are enabled for every series. Change the shape type to line, and reduce the shape size to 4. From here, we'll customize the key markers. Select the median series, change its shape to diamond, and turn off its border so it stands out more clearly. For the average series, change the shape to circle, reduce the size to 3, and turn off its border as well. Now, to draw a visual connection between the minimum and maximum markers, we'll use error bars. Under the maximum series, enable the error bars. After that, add the field salary maximum selected year to the upper bound, and salary minimum selected year to the lower bound. Then we'll format the error bar by changing its color to the same gray tone used earlier, and setting the border size to 0 to remove the outline. At this stage, all of the main visuals on the dashboard are complete. Now, we can move on to the supporting elements. Begin by renaming the current page to Dashboard, so it's clearly identified as the primary view for end users. The next step is to set up the custom tooltips. Duplicate this page to build the tooltip components. Rename the duplicated page to Working for clarity. Before we start adding the tooltip visuals, highlight the components at the top right of the page, and delete them to clear out the area. Now, let's start building the first tooltip. Insert a new card visual. Then add the field's ID selected year, and ID % total to the values. Once the fields have been added, rename ID selected year to Headcount, and update ID % total to percentage of total. After renaming the fields, we will proceed to adjust the dimensions of the card and reposition it so it sits comfortably within the available space. Next, we'll refine the padding. Increase both the top and left padding to 12 to add space from the edges. From there, move to the multi-card layout settings. Change the arrangement to vertical, and set the rows to 2 so the two values stack neatly one above the other. Then reduce the overall padding to 0, and lower the vertical gap to 5, creating a tighter layout. After that, head to the Cards section, and adjust the padding by enabling the individual padding. Set the left padding to 15, while keeping both the top and bottom padding set to 0. At the same time, turn off both the border and the divider. With these settings applied, move on to enable the accent bar. And to match the bubble color in the chart, click on FX for the conditional formatting. Switch the format style to field value and base it on the field type color. Once the color logic is configured, increase the bar width to 8 for better visibility. After that, we'll polish the text formatting. Under the callout settings, expand the value options and set the value font size to 12. Continuing on, for the label, adjust the font size to 9, and reduce the horizontal gap to 0, so the values and labels align more closely. With that, the first card is now complete. Next, we'll use another card to display the type. Insert a new card visual, and add the field type to the values. After adding the field, fine-tune the card size, and place it slightly above the first card. Then move on to the padding. Change the left padding to 16, increase the top padding to 8, and set the bottom padding to 0 so the content sits neatly within the card. Next, head to the multi-card layout section. Expand the padding options to set it to 0 to keep the layout compact. From there, continue to the cards section. To better control the spacing, enable individual padding, and set the top padding to 0. After that, switch off both the border and divider to keep the card clean and minimal. For the last step, we'll work on the callout settings. Reduce the value font size to 16 so the type fits within the layout. And then turn off the label entirely. With both cards now fully formatted, we can speed up the process for the next tooltip. Instead of rebuilding everything from scratch, simply highlight the two cards and duplicate them so we can reuse the same layout. After duplicating them, drag the new cards to the empty space beside the originals. Then we'll start with the first duplicated card. Replace its field with business unit so the card displays the relevant department for the second tooltip. For the next duplicated card, we'll also replace its fields. Begin by adding salary average selected year. Then add salary maximum selected year. Continue by adding salary percent 75 selected year. Followed by salary median selected year. After that, add salary percent 25 selected year. And finally include salary minimum selected year. After adding the fields, rename them for clarity. Start by changing salary average selected year to average. Next, update salary maximum selected year to maximum. Then rename salary percent 75 selected year to Q3, upper quartile. Continue by updating salary median selected year to median. And change salary percent 25 selected year to Q1, lower quartile. Finally, rename salary minimum selected year to minimum. With the labels clarified, increase the card height so all 6 values can be displayed clearly. After that, head to the multi-card layout settings and change the number of rows to 6, so each metric appears on its own row. From there, continue to the cards section and expand the accent bar options. Remove the existing conditional formatting. Then set the accent bar color to dark gray. Now we'll format the values shown in the card. Under the callout section, we'll start by selecting the average card to adjust its formatting. Change the display units to none, and set the decimal places to 0. Then repeat the same formatting across all the remaining cards to keep everything consistent. I will fast forward through this section to keep things moving. With that, all the elements for both tooltips are now ready. We can move on to creating the tooltip pages. Start by adding a new page and rename it Tooltip 1. Then, add another new page and rename it Tooltip 2. Once the pages are ready, return to the working page where the tooltip elements are set up. Highlight all the elements that make up the first tooltip, then copy them. Navigate to the Tooltip 1 page and paste the visuals in. At this stage, the visuals may look off since no data or metric has been selected yet. For now, let's position all the visuals neatly near the top left corner of the page. Once everything is aligned, click on the blank canvas to deselect all visuals. Open Page Information and under Page Type, change it to Tooltip, so the page acts as a custom tooltip. Next, move down to Canvas Settings and switch the type to Custom. Carefully resize the canvas so that it wraps closely around the visuals. Now, repeat the same process for the second tooltip. Return to the working page, highlight all the visuals used for the second tooltip, and proceed to copy them. After that, move over to the Tooltip 2 page and paste the visuals onto the canvas. Then adjust their position, placing them neatly toward the top left corner. Once again, click on the blank canvas to deselect the visuals. From here, go to Page Information and update the page type to Tooltip. Move down to the canvas settings, set the type to custom, and resize the canvas so it fits snugly around the elements. With both tooltip pages now ready, the next step is to link them to their respective charts on the dashboard. Navigate back to the dashboard page and select the bubble chart. In the Properties pane, under the Tooltip settings, choose Tooltip 1 from the list to link this tooltip to the chart. Then, select the Salary Distribution chart and assign Tooltip 2 as its tooltip. After linking the custom tooltips, we'll disable the tooltips for visuals such as the Staff Pyramid chart, where they aren't needed. Once the tooltips are set, the next stage is to configure the interactions so everything works together dynamically. Click on Edit Interactions to switch into interaction mode. And beginning with the Staff Pyramid chart, set its interaction mode to filter for the gender composition, department movements, and salary distribution charts so that selecting a grade updates all the related visuals. Next, move on to the monthly workforce trend chart. Set it to filter the staff pyramid, gender composition, department movements, and salary distribution charts, allowing a selected month to drive changes across the dashboard. From there, proceed to the salary distribution chart. Set it to filter for the department movements, gender composition, and staff pyramid charts. Now, turn to the bubble chart. Set its interaction mode to none for the type legend, so clicking the chart doesn't affect the legend itself. Then set it to filter for the staff pyramid, salary distribution, department movements, and gender composition charts, enabling cross-filtering across the dashboard. Next, adjust the settings for the type legend. Set its interaction to none for the bubble chart, allowing it to remain independent while still filtering the other visuals. Moving on to the gender composition chart. Set it to filter for the staff pyramid, salary distribution, and department movements charts. At the same time, set its interaction to none for the cards within the gender panel, ensuring those values remain static. Finally, complete the setup with the department movements chart. Set it to filter for the gender composition, salary distribution, and staff pyramid charts, completing the circle of dynamic interactions. Once all interactions are set, click Edit Interactions again to exit the editing mode. And with that, your dashboard is now fully interactive. Before wrapping up, let's test the dashboard to make sure everything functions as expected. Start by selecting 2026 from the top year selector to confirm that all the visuals refresh smoothly. And then hover over each chart to review the tooltips, ensuring the information displays correctly and that all metrics are clearly presented. For example, check the monthly trend chart, which displays the selected and prior year headcount along with their variance. Then, look at the bubble chart, which shows the headcount for each employment type and its percentage of the total. Once everything is working as expected, go ahead and delete the working page as it is no longer needed. And with that, we've completed the full step-by-step build of the People Insights dashboard entirely from scratch. If you're looking for more dashboard tips and templates, be sure to check out my earlier videos. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.